Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
An occurrence of something. Another instance occurred yesterday. Clarify by giving an example of. An item of information that is typical of a class or group. A specific size and style of type within a type family. An enveloping structure or covering enclosing an animal or plant organ or part. The enclosing frame around a door or window opening. A person of a specified kind, usually with many eccentricities. A mental case. Printing. The receptacle in which a compositor has his type, which is divided into compartments for the different letters, spaces, or numbers. For English, a compositor will ordinarily have two such cases, the uppercase containing the capitals and the lowercase containing the small letters. The quantity contained in a case. The housing or outer covering of something. The clock has a walnut case. Bed linen consisting of a cover for a pillow. The burglar carried his loot in a pillowcase. A special set of circumstances. It may rain, in which case the picnic will be cancelled. An occurrence of something. It was a case of bad judgment. Enclose in, or as if in, a case. My feet were encased in mud. Nouns or pronouns or adjectives, often marked by inflection, related in some way to other words in a sentence. A comprehensive term for any proceeding in a court of law whereby an individual seeks a legal remedy. A person who is subjected to experimental or other observational procedures. Someone who is an object of investigation. The cases that we studied were drawn from two different communities. A glass container used to store and display items in a shop or museum or home. A person requiring professional services. A typical case was the suburban housewife described by a marriage counselor. A portable container for carrying several objects. The musicians left their instrument cases backstage. A problem requiring investigation. Perry Mason solved the case of the missing heir. A specific state of mind that is temporary. A case of the jitters. A statement of facts and reasons used to support an argument. He stated his case clearly. Look over, usually with the intention to rob. They men cased the house. The actual state of things. That was not the case. A representative form or pattern. I profited from his example. Something to be imitated. An occurrence of something. But there is always the famous example of the Smiths. An item of information that is typical of a class or group. This patient provides a typical example of the syndrome. Punishment intended as a warning to others. They decided to make an example of him. A task performed or problem solved in order to develop skill or understanding. You must work the examples at the end of each chapter in the textbook. Clarify by giving an example of. Be characteristic of. Clarify by giving an example of. Depict with an illustration. Supply with illustrations. Illustrate a book with drawings. Showing by example. An item of information that is typical of a class or group. Artwork that helps make something clear or attractive. A visual representation, a picture or diagram, that is used to make some subject more pleasing or easier to understand. An item of information that is typical of a class or group. An advocate who represents someone else's policy or purpose. A member of the United States House of Representatives. A person who represents others. Being or characteristic of government by representation in which citizens exercise power through elected officers and representatives. Representative government is defined by Abraham Lincoln as government of the people, by the people, for the people. Serving to represent or typify. Representative moviegoers. Standing for something else. The bald eagle is representative of the United States. An event that happens. An event that happens. An event that happens. An instance of something occurring. A disease of frequent occurrence. An event that happens. Presently occurring, either causally or incidentally. Technical terms are rarely occurrent in literature. Add details, as to an account or idea. Clarify the meaning of and discourse in a learned way, usually in writing. Become wider. His pupils were dilated. Make more complex, intricate, or richer. Add details, as to an account or idea. Clarify the meaning of and discourse in a learned way, usually in writing. She elaborated on the main ideas in her dissertation. Marked by complexity and richness of detail. An elaborate lace pattern. Work out in detail. Elaborate a plan. Developed or executed with care and in minute detail. The elaborate register of the inhabitants prevented tax evasion. Produce from basic elements or sources, change into a more developed product. The bee elaborates honey. Add details, as to an account or idea. Clarify the meaning of and discourse in a learned way, usually in writing. Make large. Become larger or bigger. Make larger. She enlarged the flower beds. Add details, as to an account or idea. Clarify the meaning of and discourse in a learned way, usually in writing. State. Exaggerate or make bigger. Add details, as to an account or idea. Clarify the meaning of and discourse in a learned way, usually in writing. Expand the influence of. Extend in one or more directions. The dough expands. Grow vigorously. Become larger in size or volume or quantity. His business expanded rapidly. Make bigger or wider in size, volume, or quantity. Expand the house by adding another wing. Add details, as to an account or idea. Clarify the meaning of and discourse in a learned way, usually in writing. State. Add details, as to an account or idea. Clarify the meaning of and discourse in a learned way, usually in writing. Become round, plump, or shapely. Make fat or plump. Add details, as to an account or idea. Clarify the meaning of and discourse in a learned way, usually in writing. Add details, as to an account or idea. Clarify the meaning of and discourse in a learned way, usually in writing. A message received and understood. Communication theory. A numerical measure of the uncertainty of an outcome. The signal contained thousands of bits of information. A collection of facts from which conclusions may be drawn. Formal accusation of a crime. Knowledge acquired through study or experience or instruction. An indefinitely short time. In just a bit. A small fragment. A small amount of solid food, a mouthful. All they had left was a bit of bread. A small piece or quantity of something. A bit of paper. A short performance that is part of a longer program. A small fragment of something broken off from the whole. A bit of rock caught him in the eye. An instance of some kind. He had a bit of good luck. A unit of measurement of information, from binary plus digit. The amount of information in a system having two equiprobable states. There are 8 bits in a byte. Piece of metal held in horse's mouth by reins and used to control the horse while riding. The horse was not accustomed to a bit. The cutting part of a drill, usually pointed and threaded and is replaceable in a brace or bitstock or drill press. He looked around for the right size bit. The part of a key that enters a lock and lifts the tumblers. Repair by adding pieces. She pieced the china cup. A portion of a natural object. He needed a piece of granite. Eat intermittently. Take small bites of. He pieced at the sandwich all morning. An item that is an instance of some type. He designed a new piece of equipment. A share of something. A period of indeterminate length, usually short, marked by some action or condition. I need to rest for a piece. A musical work that has been created. A work of art of some artistic value. It is not known who created this piece. An instance of some kind. It was a nice piece of work. Create by putting components or members together. She pieced a quilt. A portable gun. Game equipment consisting of an object used in playing certain board games. He sacrificed a piece to get a strategic advantage. To join or unite the pieces of. A serving that has been cut from a larger portion. A piece of pie. A distance. It is down the road a piece. An artistic or literary composition. He wrote an interesting piece on Iran. A separate part of a whole. An important piece of the evidence. Join during spinning. Piece the broken pieces of thread, slivers, and rovings. A reading of a point in time is given by a clock. Do you know what time it is? Rhythm is given by division into parts of equal duration. An instance or single occasion for some event. This time he succeeded. The period of time a prisoner is imprisoned. He is doing time in the county jail. Measure the time or duration of an event or action or the person who performs an action in a certain period of time. The fourth coordinate that is required, along with 3 spatial dimensions, to specify a physical event. Adjust so that a force is applied and an action occurs at the desired time. The good player times his swing so as to hit the ball squarely. An indefinite period, usually marked by specific attributes or activities. The time of year for planting. A period of time considered as a resource under your control and sufficient to accomplish something. Take time to smell the roses. A person's experience on a particular occasion. He had a time holding back the tears. Assign a time for an activity or event. The candidate carefully timed his appearance at the disaster scene. A suitable moment. It is time to go. Regulate or set the time of. Time the clock. Set the speed, duration, or execution of. We time the process to manufacture our cars very precisely. The continuum of experience in which events pass from the future through the present to the past. He waited for a long time. Cultivate, tend, and cut back the growth of. Sever or remove by pinching or snipping. Terminate or abbreviate before its intended or proper end or its full extent. Run at a moderately swift pace. A metal frame or container holding cartridges can be inserted into an automatic gun. An instance or single occasion for some event. He could do 10 at a clip. The act of clipping or snipping. An article of jewelry that can be clipped onto a hat or dress. Any of various small fasteners used to hold loose articles together. A sharp slanting blow. He gave me a clip on the ear. Attach with a clip. Clip the papers together. Depriving one of self-esteem. An instance in which you were caused to lose your prestige or self-respect. He had to undergo one humiliation after another. Strong feelings of embarrassment. State of disgrace or loss of self-respect. An instance in which you were caused to lose your prestige or self-respect. The localized death of living cells, as from infection or the interruption of blood supply. Strong feelings of embarrassment. Christianity. The act of mortifying the lusts of the flesh by self-denial and privation, especially by bodily pain or discomfort inflicted on yourself. An example that is used to justify similar occurrences at a later time. A formal written defense of something you believe in strongly. A poor example. It was an apology for a meal. An expression of regret at having caused trouble for someone. He wrote a letter of apology to the hostess. A deliberate act of omission. With the exception of the children, everyone was told the news. An instance that does not conform to a rule or generalization. All her children were brilliant. The only exception was her last child. Grounds for adverse criticism. His authority is beyond exception. A defense of some offensive behavior or some failure to keep a promise, etc. He kept finding excuses to stay. Excuse, overlook, or make allowances for, be lenient with. Excuse someone's behavior. Ask for permission to be released from an engagement. Serve as a reason or cause or justification of. Your need to sleep late does not excuse your late arrival at work. Accept an excuse for. Please excuse my dirty hands. Grant exemption or release to. Please excuse me from this class. Defend, explain, clear away, or make excuses for by reasoning. A poor example. A poor excuse for an automobile. A note explaining an absence. He had to get his mother to write an excuse for him.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.